Hello, everybody. Welcome to the... I was totally off on that one. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Code Behind. Today, we are going to talk about MVPs. That is MVP. Not like LeBron MVP, but the minimum viable product. This is what we develop when we're working with an entrepreneur and a startup, but it can also be when we're working with an enterprise client. So MVPs today are not just reserved to the startup realm. Sometimes what we do is we create an MVP when it is something that is a application that we want to get in the hands of the users quickly and start generating that feedback. So how do we define what is in an MVP and what isn't? So minimum viable product means that it's got the core functionality. So example, somebody comes in and says that I have an application I want to create. It needs to do these 5 things. Well, does it really need all those 5, or are the core of it these 3? And the 2 are actually necessary add-ons, or are they optional add-ons? So that's kind of what we break down, and we figure out what is that minimum viable product. And then what we do is we shoot for, is that something that can be created and in people's hands in about 60 to 90 days. Now, with the adventure of AI, today you can go out and start prototyping some of the MVPs and type into some of the better coding engines and create the look and some of the feel of that MVP. Most of the applications we're building are going to have a whole bunch of data storage, automation, security, privacy, all of those elements, two-factor authentication, everything that goes behind it. We're going to put those elements in because what we don't want to do is we don't want to be missing the key security elements when rolling out an MVP, but we also want to have that functionality. So that's a case where if you're looking to get something going, it's going to put into your hands the functionality of the app or of the web application. A lot of times what we're building are software as a service type applications. So that is what we're going to shoot for in the MVP. Now, a lot of people go, well, what's that going to cost? Well, a little depends on what you're going to build, how many developers, what the scope is, what type of automations have to go behind it. So there's a number of factors that come into it. You can probably expect to spend on the low end for an MVP, maybe as low if it's a very simple application, probably in that time and iteration, about 20,000 today, probably up to 100,000 very easily for an MVP. But what you're looking at to get out of this MVP is a product that you can then share with your friends, family, and potentially some business partners that you want to sell it to and get their feedback. What you don't want to do is do a very long waterfall project where you are create, do that full alpha release, that full beta release, and then put that into the hands. That is the old way that you may have done applications years ago. Today, the problem is at that alpha and beta stage, you really want to make sure you're opening that up. That alpha is going to come after the MVP. So the MVP stage is actually pre-alpha. So MVP stage is that first iteration and build. You may or may not take money if you're charging for the application. It might be a free play period that you do. Some people we have put the payment piece on at the end of the MVP. What we would normally do there is release it to friends, family, partner, type situation on free play, get their feedback, but then put the payment application on after that. But the core things you want to do is work on that user interface, that functionality, because as an owner, as a developer, as the people that work on the application, I hate to say it, there's a lot of times where when you're staring at the application like this, you could be getting used to the fact that I'm jumping down here, all of those interactions that you do are going to become second nature to you. You're going to get very quick at it. Then when you take somebody who's got fresh eyes, you put them in front of the application, they're not going to know what to do. And if you're having to explain it to them, it's time to go back to design and UI and work on what are the logical elements, especially if it's something that has a big onboarding process. There are some applications that involve you working with an implementation specialist on those type of applications. Well, that's one way to do it. Most of the time when we're building an MVP, it is going to be using broader range of customers, and you're going to be looking to have people that are in different demographics, different avatars that are going to use it. So you want somebody who's your business to consumer user that's at the low end, who is somebody who's a little more advanced, who's going to be managing content and data for a third party, for their business, for other people. That is another look at it. And then you're going to have that Uber user, somebody who's extremely techy, who is used to working on tech, who gets very quick, and it's going to give you those 2-second feedbacks going, boy, this is good, but I would put validation on this. I wouldn't fill this phone number field in that way, and I wouldn't make it do this. You want to go and collect information from all of those type of people during your MVP. That's your time to take and assess and look at, is this going to work? Is this going to be the function? Now, for a lot of companies, that is actually when it is kind of a good time to also start talking. If you're not funded, it's a good time to start with angel investors. Many people that do their talking with angel investors way back here to fund the MVP. Then you're going to give away a lot more of the equity in the company. You don't actually have a good direction. You may have to pivot a little bit. If you work through that MVP stage, then go out to angel investors or venture capital, you have a higher likelihood of seeming like you're a subject matter expert because you have now talked to 100 users that have touched the MVP and loaded up data and given you information and feedback on it. Whereas if you go the other route and go for the investment back here, they're investing only in the concept, and they're probably discounting or taking, if you speak in Shark Tank world, they're going to take more of your company because they know they can. So that could be a big difference of whether you fund and do the MVP before angel investing or venture capital of 20-30% of your overall company value. So, and it also could be a quicker path, because if you come through MVP, get good feedback, get that iteration, can make those changes quickly, go into alpha, turn on charging, and start putting some money in the bank, well, now you've got some money driving towards the bottom line. You may not need as much investing. You may not need to give up as much of the company to go to angel investing in venture capital. So that's kind of why you do the MVP, is to learn and to get it in front of the customers that you're going to have. And it's also for you to build knowledge about the product that you're building.